Yo, this is such a good first episode! Yo! Okay, let's dive headfirst into this. Let's talk about Heavenly Delusion, or known as Tengoku. This is a series I have already made multiple videos on when it came to its PV trailers, discussing like topics around it, when it came to its simulcast, all that type of stuff. And you probably have seen this character before with some of my thumbnails. I mean, I made a video literally about this show like 4 days ago when it came to Disney, like really good news about Disney. So it's just like, when I sat down and I watched this first episode, I already had somewhat high expectations. Like, I knew it was probably going to be good. But when I actually watched this and legit, like, got to, like, this scene right here, like, at the end, and then you see, like, the beast kind of fly down, and you see the woman that's the innkeeper, like, pumping her shotgun and all that, and you see this beast land, it's like, yo, stuff is happening, like, this is crazy. It's such a phenomenal moment, and, like, the absolute immersive nature of the show, like, I need to talk about, like, the artwork, like, it stands out. This is something that instantly I need to talk about, because while I was watching this episode, I finished it, I was like, okay, I gotta rewatch this again, and just look at all these scenes, because there's just so much going on visually, that I could really just sit down and talk about. And so, one big detail about this is that the artwork tells a lot about the story of Tengoku. And I really love the direction of at least what the animators and the staff are doing for this show, which, by the way, a little thing I found out apparently the show, at least Core 1 for this series, is done. I don't know if that's actually true, but from what I've heard, basically, is that the production's already done. So, we're probably not going to run into some production issues with this. I don't know if that's true or not. Don't quote me, but that's kind of what I've heard. So anyways, that's some good news on the side. But getting back on topic, though, the artwork tells a lot to the story. I feel like it's a lot more of show, don't tell. Like, we don't have a narrator with this episode explaining what happened. Like, in traditional anime, when you have stuff like this, with, like, obviously a post-apocalyptic event, we have a narrator that, begins talking about what happened, what led to society to a little extent to be where it's at, or maybe the main male or female character talk about it, but we don't get that within this episode. It just straight up dives us headfirst into this post-apocalyptic world with really no background knowledge. You just know that obviously society has crumbled, you have scavengers, so to speak, going around, and then there's also a group as well that's in this weird location that seems to be more sci-fi-ish or futuristic, like a dome colony, so to speak, and so you're left wondering what's really going on within this series, like, what's actually happening here, what led to this post-apocalyptic event, and like I said, I like the imagery of the backgrounds. Like, when you take a hard look at this image, it speaks a lot about the environment of the world and what's really going on within it. Like, the Warren building right here. Like, if you look, the building is obviously crumbling, it's decrepit, you have the glass for, this door right here is completely broken, showcasing that, nobody's maintained it for a very long time. We have this couch here, and they're not using blankets or anything, they're using sleeping bags, which probably implies that there's not really good blankets to really carry around, or maybe they're constantly on the move and traveling, so they need sleeping bags, to also how they have, like, a lantern here in the middle, which also showcases that, power is not a thing anymore, which makes sense. It's post-apocalyptic, but the point is that the visual storytelling is very on point. It constantly has these little things that hint at things to come, what to expect and all that throughout the overall episode, and I feel like the presentation with the art department and the visuals is definitely something that really stood out to me. Like, there's multiple moments while you're actually watching, the episode that implies that our character, this character right here, she's holding a gun. She has a gun holster and all that, and, we don't really see anything go down until later on when they kind of look like they're about to get mugged, etc., like some really bad stuff's about to happen. I mean, you gotta imagine, post-apocalyptic world, people trying to, steal your stuff, there's so much that could potentially happen, especially since, we have a main female character, a part of the group. It kind of makes sense what bad things could theoretically happen in this environment. But anyways, the point is like, we have, like, the whole situation with, like, the gun as well, which was hinted at. Once again, it was just shown on her, but we never got it mentioned at all until the scene. I really do like scenes like this. Like I said, the visual storytelling really is something that I enjoy about stories, because it makes me immersed. It's like the writer and the animators are respecting my intelligence. They're not having to hold my hand and tell me everything that's going on, because I'm able to kind of look at the scene and understand understand what is actually happening. Now, one other thing I want to mention is that this ending sequence kind of showcases what world we're on, which I think was kind of already obvious, but I do like this little sequence with the globe, like Earth, because it implies that obviously this is the planet Earth that our character's on. And I know that's like, obviously, but you gotta remember, this is, a manga slash anime. It could have been on a sci-fi world, a completely different planet, etc. But it's clear that this is Earth, because obviously we see Australia, we see Japan, etc. So it's very clear that this is, Mother Earth, but post-apocalyptic. We don't know how long time has necessarily passed, but judging by, the muggers that appeared and all that, it's clear that it hasn't been necessarily too long, because, they talk about how these kids, or the ones that are, 18, 20, etc., kind of younger, they are, people that didn't really get to have a normal upbringing, and they, got to live in this era, so to speak. So it's very clear that at the very least, this overall apocalyptic scenario has been at least ongoing for at least maybe one generation or less. And another way to kind of really amplify that overall thought is that we get this old woman that starts talking about, the world outside the walls, this dome colony. Talk more about them in a second. No, it's clear that she knows what's going on, and looking at her age, looking at the associates behind her, like a scientist or professor or whatever's going on here, it's clear that, once again, not a lot of time has passed. Not hundreds of years, not thousands of years, maybe 20 years at the max, maybe 30, but it doesn't seem like a lot of time has passed. We're not talking about centuries. So I do like how we got that information, once again, without just being directly told. You could just get it from the way the scene is actually presented. And, by the way, I'm anime only. I know that this is like a manga or something. I have not read the original source. I'm just completely anime only, and I'm just diving in, theory crafting, and wanting to analyze what is going on here, and I love when stories make me actually do that. Anyone that knows me knows I love stories that really just get my mind racing and thinking about what could potentially happen next. But let's get a little bit deeper, okay? So basically, one big thing that this episode does, obviously, is it has a lack of action. And I think is really good. It showcases this not dystopian, this apocalyptic scenario where society is obviously crumbled. Humans can appear, we have people here and there throughout, the episode that does appear to talk with our characters, but it's clear that humans are not as abundant as they used to be, so to speak. You have to really venture out and kind of search for them, because obviously something has happened, either a virus, disease. Well, obviously it's implied that, these creatures that, are monsters or whatever has probably caused something. We can assume that's a big detail, but when you take a hard look at this creature that appears at the end of the episode, it kind of looks like a crow slash chicken, like a mutated crow or chicken. It's obviously a bird, but it's its head was cut off. If you take a hard look in the way it's designed, its head was cut off, and then eyes started to appear where its head used to be, and you have these tendrils that come out of it. I'm assuming creatures just mutated. I'm assuming just regular animals, etc. mutated and created these, and most likely humans are probably in the similar vein. Maybe there's humans that also have mutated, but, we know that there's obviously creatures, entities that, are monsters, etc. It could be a disease or a virus that still has not been clarified yet with the story, but I, once again, do like the mystery vibe around what the series does as well. Now, another thing, too, I do want to mention, we also get, once again, technology is obviously a little bit futuristic with the dome colony. And I think that this is fascinating because clearly, this society probably was prepping for whatever happened. It's very apparent that whatever happened outside of this dome or whatever, these walls, so to speak, it was already known it was happening, and this was built probably prior in advance. It's the only way that this can make sense, because judging by the way the story is presented, everything, not a hell of a lot of time has passed since the apocalypse, so the only way something like this could be built is if the people behind it already knew stuff was going down, and this was built prior. And so, it makes me believe that whatever happened in the world, the creatures, was probably some experiment gone wrong, and most likely these kids that are within this facility are probably associated with that. We do see a few examples throughout this brief scene with, these kids in this dome colony, that they, showcase some supernatural elements. We see a kid, jump off this little, ledge here, and he's able to have these quick reflexes and run real quick, and obviously this just could be anime logic. Yeah, that's definitely what it could be, but I think the way the scenes are showcased, it's implied that there is definitely some superhuman level power going on with these individuals, and most likely the reason why they're being brought up in these dome colonies or whatever. And then also we have a character that's able to have visions or whatever, so I do think it's implied that these characters have powers of some sort. So that is interesting, and I don't know if that's true or not, but it is heavily implied, at least with this episode. We get a brief little bath scene with our main female character, and we get to see a lot of scars on her body. And if you watch the scene, you can clearly see that. I know everybody's going to instantly navigate their eyes and say, oh, she's caked up, or all that type of stuff, thick, whatever. But we need to talk about the fact that she has a lot of scars on her body. Like, legitimately. And it looks like slash marks or whatever. Clearly something grabbed a hold of her. Like, you could just see it's on both sides of her shoulders. It's literally on her back, literally on her cheeks as well. Like, something legitimately grabbed her and held her and all that. And it's like, what actually happened? It's, once again, visual storytelling being told here in this moment with this character's overall character design. I enjoy that. I legit do, because it's just like, obviously, this character's been through a lot to be in this type of state. Now, another thing I do want to mention is that with this little mirror scene, despite obviously just the scars and stuff, she looked at herself in the mirror, and she literally kisses herself. She tries to kiss herself in the mirror, and I'm just like thinking to myself, wait, what? She's trying to kiss herself? And the only thing I could think of in this moment, obviously, is two things. Either she's narcissistic, like she's legitimately very narcissistic, and she just loves herself to that degree that she wants to kiss herself. She's, into women, that's another one, or she's practicing kissing for the person she's been protecting, and, you know, she was wondering if she could actually kiss good or not. It's something like that, I don't know, or there's something else out there, or maybe she has a split personality. That's also a possibility. This is a post-apocalyptic world. We don't necessarily know the powers and themes yet completely. It could be psychological for all we know. So that also could be a thing. Maybe there is a split personality with this character, and maybe, you know, she's trying to kiss her other self or something. Who knows? I've seen this within storytelling too. But this is a very interesting moment. It's a nice way to kind of incorporate, obviously, fan service with giving us a lot of details on the character because of the body with the scars, etc. Like, I appreciate this. This is when fan service is done right, kind of showcasing a character in a way like this, but also giving us a lot of character development and depth to them because of the way they act. But anyways, besides that as well, I do want to talk about just my expectations for the show. So, clearly, I'm an anime only. I don't know what to expect. I don't know if this show is going to remain consistent, good, etc. Because I'm not a manga reader. I don't even know if the manga is technically complete or not, or if it's ongoing. But, overall, from my first impressions of the show, I love this. This is a legitimately good first episode. And I think that if this is really what, this season has to offer, like Spring of Anime, 2023 has to offer so far, this is a good start. I know Hell's Paradise came out as well today. I know Eden Zero Season 2 came out today. I know there's another one that came out today, like, it's like a romance slice of life or something that came out today. I need to watch that one as well. There's a few shows that came out. Obviously, it's Saturday, so Saturdays are usually packed. But I honestly had high expectations for Tengoku, but my expectations were just blown out of the water. I really am happy with this. This is reminding me a lot of just when I discovered Summertime Renderer last year, and it just is something that made me so excited and happy. I'm very happy as well that Disney obviously is simulcasting this. Like, this isn't being, like, locked up in Disney jail. Disney is allowing everybody to watch this around the world, worldwide. I really do appreciate that, because that means that this series isn't going to fly under the radar and potentially be missed by everyone within the year, because everybody has the potential to actually watch it. But okay, I'll leave the video at that for now. I'll see you all next week for episode 2 of this series. Cannot wait to review it and talk about it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, how you felt about this first episode. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Etc. Let me know in the comments below. But with that, be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.